Hello, you're welcome. You're welcome onto my channel today, and it gives me great joy to observe you are viewing this video. I am Dr. Olayinka Akanle. I'm a sociologist, I'm a researcher, I'm a public speaker, I'm a life coach, I'm a lecturer in the university. On this channel, I do a number of stuffs, and all these stuffs I do them as regularly as possible to add value to my subscribers and my viewers. And this is very important to me, to make sure that your capacities are built. Today, I want to drop this video on a very important method of data collection within the confine of qualitative data collection or qualitative research. I've dropped videos on quantitative and qualitative research, and I've been making videos on different methods of data collection. Meanwhile, if you have not subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Kindly go ahead and subscribe. Tap the subscribe button on your screen right now. Click the subscribe button and join my family of subscribers and viewers. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, if you have subscribed previously, thank you very much for staying tuned. Today, this video is on in-depth interview. IDI, in-depth interview, IDI. In-depth interview is a method of data collection. You know, if you're going through my video on research design, and you will discover that there are different types of research designs, and research design are very important. Your research design will determine the method of data collection you're going to use. So view that video on research design. Now let's not believe your research is within qualitative method. So you're going to use qualitative method of data collection. So I've dropped video on focus group discussion, which is a method of data collection within qualitative research. So today, this video is on in-depth interview. After this, I will do another video on key informant interview immediately after this, and I'll do another one on case study, archival research, live history methods. So these are different methods of data collection. I've dropped video on quantitative method of data collection, which is questionnaire. So I'm now going through these videos on qualitative methods. So I started with focus group discussion, which you can find on this channel. So in-depth interview, also known through the acronym in IDI. So many people mistake this acronym. They call it all manners of things. I've read thesis, I've read research, operational research report, I've run dissertation, I've read project, you know, and people have problems with it because most people are used to questionnaire, you know, about quantitative methods are also very important, becoming more popular now. And this in-depth interview, is a very versatile method used across different disciplines, different methods of research. So it's used a lot in social sciences and humanities as well. Even people who do marketing also use, or operational research also use this in-depth interview, just like FGD and the rest of it. So because in-depth interview is very useful depending on a number of things. So what is in-depth interview? In-depth interview is a qualitative method of data collection that allows you to raise issues in very detailed way. In-depth interview allows you to gather data in very detailed way, very detailed, very comprehensive. So that's why it's called in-depth interview. It's usually used because you want detailed information, sometimes further information in very natural environment. Sometimes it can even be used as a complement of quantitative method of data collection, which is a questionnaire. And sometimes it can be used on its own. You can only use it as complement or supplement of quantitative data if you are triangulating. Triangulation is a method of data, is a research method that allows you to use more than one method in collecting your data. Also, that's what we call triangulation. Now, if you are not triangulating, if you want to do your research purely qualitatively, so you can use in-depth interview. But in-depth interview, IDI, is a method of data collection that allows you, that enables you to gather data in greater detail, in detailed form. So that's what you call in-depth interview. In-depth, that is digging deep in the process of interview. And this is very important. Meanwhile, let me quickly tell you something. I've seen people using qualitative method of data collection in that interview, and they say responded. They say responded. They say questions. Please, if you are gathering data qualitatively, we call our research participants professionally based on your method of data collection. So we only use the word respondents in questionnaire when you are doing a questionnaire, because you ask questions, people respond. But we don't ask questions in qualitative method. Please, this is very important. This is a major contribution to knowledge for you today. So you don't say respondent when you're conducting in-depth interview. You say you as the interviewer, and your person you are talking to is an interviewee. So we don't say respondent. And if you are conducting FGD, you say discussant. The people that form your group are referred to as discussant. Don't say respondent. No, in in-depth interview, we say interviewee and interviewer. So don't say respondent, because we don't ask questions in qualitative method. We simply prompt and probe. I've seen many people design interview guide as though they are designing questionnaires. We don't design, we don't want, it's questionnaires that you ask questions and people respond as responded. In-depth interview, we prompt people to talk so they can talk extensively. And if they are not talking the way you expect them, they are digressing, they're not giving you the right information, you probe them. So in in-depth interview, we use interview guide. And in this interview guide, you don't raise your issues as questions, you raise it as prompt. You prompt them and you probe deeper. So don't say questions, you say prompts or probes if you want to dig deeper. You prompt for conversation, then you probe if you want deeper. So don't say questions and don't say respondent. Say interviewees and say you prompt and you probe. So those are very important things for you to do. So this, and now let me talk about why do you use in-depth interview. You use in-depth interview when you need greater information. Now, and you want it to be as natural as possible. You want it to be conversational so that you are engaging each other. It has to be one-on-one, one person per interviewee. Don't forget, one interviewer and one interviewee. This is very important. And it must be in a natural setting where no other person will influence your conversation, we influence your conversation or your interview. And it has to be conversational. It shouldn't be so predetermined. It should be in a place that the interviewee must have pre-selected. It must be without a third party. So the person, if it's in a place that's pre-selected, so he's comfortable, he's free to talk. And must be without a third party, so the third party will not influence what the person wants to say. The person may not want to say some things in front of any other person. So if another person is there, the person may not want to speak freely. So, and if it's just in-depth interview, you can take notes yourself and you can observe. You may not need a note taker or an observer, unlike if it were focus group discussion. So let it be in a pre-selected selection which must be selected or approved by the interviewee, must be without a third party, and must be at a time that is very convenient for the interviewee. Must not be when the person is rushing somewhere. I say, no, I don't have supposed much. Let's just talk quickly. No, reschedule the meeting. So that is very important. So let it be in a natural setting where you have privacy at a time the person wants, and let the person be conversant with the issue you want to discuss. And this is why, you select your interviewee purposively, not randomly most of the time, purposively, based on the purpose the person will serve. based on the knowledge based on the person. Now, what are the different types of your interview or your interview guide at the same time? You can have structured interview or interview guide, you can have semi-structured, and you can have unstructured. Unstructured means you don't have any pattern. You just start the conversation and you start the interview. You just prompt based on a subject and you keep discussing without any structure. So it's what the person is saying that will lead to another one. But the danger of this is that if you are not so versatile, if you are not so experienced in in-depth interview, in conducting in-depth interview, you may get lost. You may just have volumes of transcripts or recordings that will not lead you anywhere. But if you are so experienced, you can just have an unstructured interview with the individual. But I don't recommend that. I recommend semi-structure. Semi-structure means it's not so rigid, but you still have your guide with prompts and probes written. But not that you will allow the person to just be talking along your direction. You prompt, then you can have conversations, and you can look at your interview guide and prompt another one, which must be according to your objectives. Your interview guide must be structured, must be according to your objectives. Now, you may have structured. This one means you just carry the question, you carry your probes and your prompts in a way that you have indicated on your guide. But I don't like this because it nearly becomes like a questionnaire. So I prefer semi-structure, whereby you have some element of structure, but you still allow the session to flow. So these are three types. Structured, which is so straightjacket sometimes, which is very much like questionnaire. That is I don't recommend. But semi-structured I like. You have your prompts and probes noted in your interview guide at the same time, and you still allow for free flow of interview. You can have other elements that you did not even note, but you can generate new discussions, new interview elements or prompt and probes as the individual is discussing. Now, let me talk about what determines when to use, what are the determinants of when to use in-depth interview as method of data collection. Number one is it depends on your objectives. That means your objectives on research questions. I have videos on research questions and objectives on this channel. View those videos. It's your objectives that will determine the method you're going to use. Maybe questionnaire cannot answer the question you want. You need deeper information on the issue. Maybe you are doing a cultural study, or even a market research, or even technological acceptance, but you want to understand some cultural elements, behavioral nuances, or normativities, or some contextual issues that are deeper within the cultural existences of the people. Then the questionnaire cannot give you this kind of information. So you need the in-depth interview to be able to probe deeper into the issue. So it's your objective and research questions that will determine what you use. Another point, number two, is resources available to you. Do you have the funds? Though in-depth interview is not so expensive, but you must be aware, if you're conducting it yourself or you're recruiting a research assistant, you will need a tape, you will need to transcribe, you may need software to analyze. Do you have the software? So the amount of money available, it's not more expensive, but it's also not cheap, depending on how much you have. If your research is funded, if it's not funded. Then another point, number three, is time. How much time do you have to conduct the sessions? Because an average interview, the period for good interview is usually between 45 and 1 hour 30 minutes. If it's too lengthy, you may wear out your interviewee, and you may have too many transcripts to deal with. Yet it must not be too little in terms of time. So we usually recommend 45 minutes, 1 hour, depending on the nature of your interview and the capacity. It can be less, it can be more, but you must be careful so that it's not too short and it's not too lengthy. And this is very important. Are you able to raise the right prompts and probe as quickly as possible? And you'll end the session. Because it must not be too lengthy, otherwise it will be meaningless. Then another thing is your expertise. Are you competent in qualitative data collection? Are you competent in IDI? Conducting IDI. So your objectives, your resources available, the funds you have, the expertise, the time, the nature of your research is very important to determine. And the availability of your interviewees. These are very important. And you must know also that there are characteristics of in-depth interview. Just like it's one-on-one, it's more dynamic, it's more flexible. It's not like questionnaire is so rigid. You can prompt this way, probe this way until you get to where you're going. But for you to be able to do a good in-depth interview, you must be very conversant with the issue. You must be because you're going to be prompting and be probed. So you must be conversant with the issue, and this is very important. And there are different types of prompts and probes. What are these types? Well, you have general, whereby you may have icebreaker. You may just raise a general issue to just start a discussion. Then you may have specific, which is the one that's actually talking about your objectives. Don't forget, your research question and objective must form different prompts and probe on your guide. So you have general, you have specific. Are you with me? Then, in terms of advantages, you will have in-depth interview is more flexible. It enables you also to have comprehensive data. Then it also enables you to build rapport and relationship with the community through the interviewee, in case you need to do a follow-up study. Then it allows you to have voice. Unlike in interview, in questionnaire where you just tick, you have the voice of the people that you can report, as part of your thesis or as part of your dissertation. You can have quotations, which are usually called ethnographic summaries. These are excerpts you can bring out of your transcript to form part of your report, to give credence or credibility to your data. But you must also be aware that there are challenges, there are disadvantages. A major disadvantage is that in-depth interview can be boring, because you can keep talking and talking and talking, and sometimes even you may get worn out, and your interview with you may become impatient over time. So it can be boring, because people, if you have some garudos or some talkative, quote and unquote, as an interview, they can make it very tedious for you. They just keep talking to bring it back, and it can be time consuming also. Imagine an average questionnaire, you can finish questionnaire in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. But this time can go as much as 1.5 hours. And also, it can be expensive, because you may have to reimburse for transportation. I've conducted an interview before that I had to bring people from rural areas to the city, and I have to pay for transportation. Also you may have to pay for venue if you really want it privacy. You have to pay for venue. You have to transcribe. You have to buy tapes and the rest of it. You have to type. You have to buy softwares. So it can be expensive. So these are some elements of in-depth interview you have to pay attention to. But generally speaking, I love in-depth interview. If you like, I love it so much, because definitely questionnaire cannot give you enough information that you need to make a lot of sense about the issue you are looking at. But when you have one-on-one interaction with people in a natural environment at a time that is very convenient for your interviewee, they tell you more stuffs that are useful that questionnaire can never give to you. I can give you an idea to make very important decisions, because this is one-on-one live interview with people who are knowledgeable in their natural environment. So I love IDI. When I supervise my master's students, PhD candidates, or even my undergrads, even when I conduct operational research, when I consult for organization, IDI is nearly a must for me. Because if I use it to triangulate with my questionnaire, my report will be very robust. So I recommend in-depth interview for you. But you must be aware, all these things I've said, you must put them to practice and continue to use it. As you continue to use it and you see the values, your report, your work will become excellent. And people will continue to come and engage you as consultants. You become an expert in this, in all of this. So don't forget all I've taught you. This is a very comprehensive video. So if you put all of this to practice, you should be fine actually. But allow people to talk freely, but don't allow them to talk too much so that you don't waste time. They don't get fagged out before you get to the nitty-gritty of the work. And so you don't have to transcribe too many irrelevant elements that you have recorded. So keep it straight. Don't make it too structured, but don't make it unstructured. Let it be semi-structured. And don't forget, no question in in-depth interview. We use prompts and probes. Until I see you in my next video, I'll drop another video on key format interview. Make sure you view that one too. Until I see you in the next video, subscribe to the channel. Bye for now.